So yeah, welcome back to another Metaversal Effect with Dan from Immersys. Um, I think I get harassed about you almost as much as Nick harasses you for your characters not wearing pants.
I mean, it's mutual. I mean, obviously, I think both because we have metaverses, we always get mentioned in the same conversation. So I get it too.
No, it's good. I'm excited because I actually didn't know that much about what was going on. But there was a great writer article by Charlie Q, who kind of outlined everything that you guys are doing. So you guys are having your first property sale over in the Metaverse, over in Immersys, and so we're just gonna kind of chill out, hang out. But I want to get the lowdown because I'm pretty excited. So Corey's he's just, I don't know, he's walking the dog or taking care of a crying baby or something. I don't know. But yeah, how have you been? It's been a while. It's been a couple months at least, but you guys are really rocking it over there, and that's exciting.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Obviously, we've been working on the properties. We've kind of definitely in 2022 wanted to focus in on bigger updates and just kind of zero in on releasing big patches. We were doing weekly stuff when we got started, just because keeping the content fresh when there wasn't too much stuff to do in there made sense. There was something new, a new feature, a new little activity or what have you. But now that we kind of have that foundation set, right, the metaverse, all the functions that we really need to kind of get the metaverse to work are at least there, whether they're primitive or they're kind of all the way through their full development cycle. They all exist, and it kind of gets us to the point where now we can start doing cool stuff like this, like releasing the properties and getting people in there and kind of getting people invested in the project itself a little bit more. Right, I think right now we were the only ones really truly super invested in the project because we're developing, we're spending all day working on it, and now that people will be able to own something that they can show off, that does have quite a bit of value associated with it. I think that additional community aspect comes into play now.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to have you on yesterday, but it just, the timing didn't work out, and I almost didn't want to have you on until next week because I'm like, if I don't promote it, then maybe I can get some cheaper land.
Yeah.
No, but it's a very limited sale actually, and it's quite interesting. I will wait, until Corey joins because I think he'll find this interesting as well. But I guess there's probably a lot of people from Immersys here and the Uplift World, but I always like it because you guys are doing some really cool stuff, like the crafting of the tools and the materials and things like that. It's really interesting. And so to play off of that as well, what I like about the way that you guys have structured this land sale is that you've actually zoned it out. So there's two kinds of land. There's residential and then there's I don't know, is it business?
Yes.
It's kind of
there's zoning. So the way that we have it set out is there's commercial, you have residential, eventually we'll have amenities and other types of zoning of property. Then we actually have an entire map that we're designing with streets that are going to be named, and then you also have the type of the property. So you can have a store versus an apartment or a penthouse or something like that. So we have it labeled in a couple different ways. So we're going to kind of release buildings as they get built, as if it's the real world, right? So the scarcity kind of comes in the time that it takes us to develop the property. So you kind of have to wait till the next round in order to get in. Is basically how it works.
How many times do we have to have on the show to get our own streets, right? Because James Street is it's standard, it's really good. I mean, Corey's weird, but we could do.
It doesn't make sense.
We could do the
Cottrell bypass.
Yeah. So that was our thought process. Is the last name sound a little bit cooler? We were going to do the Quigley Road or whatever. Just
the Quigley. Actually, that's.
I mean, Jimmy D Lane. I would want an ice cream shop on Jimmy D Lane. Actually, probably a pub. Who am I fucking kidding? But that, something.
Yeah.
I
So
think
I see the first question here. So the retail properties, so that is all just generative art, because every single storefront has this customization option where you can design what the facade of your shop looks like. We didn't really know exactly what the image should be, so we just kind of did this actual like generative art. So basically, there's like 800 different combos that can kind of come out right now. So we just kind of generated it and put those on the retail cards for right now.
so. It's you get to choose. It's like choose your own adventure type of thing. Like it's like
Yeah. So the whole front of the retail shops, you get to choose, what the door looks like, how many windows you have, how big the windows are, what products go in the window, what the namespace looks like. Is it brick? Is it, more of a metallic like finish? Is it a glass building? Stuff like that. So
you can change that up at any time, or
correct. Yep. So if you own the property, which is like a one-on-one NFT, and you're inside of it, you have access to a properties manager app. This property manager app allows you to decorate everything from the color of the walls to the floor to the roof to the outside of the building. You'll eventually be able to actually upgrade the flooring. So you'll be able to, of course, increase it to like a second floor. The second floor will have ad space for you. So if you want like a billboard to advertise stuff, you can upgrade your shop to be a 2-story building. So we actually expect this downtown area to kind of grow and build up over time. So, the first story building will be there in the beginning, and then maybe late stage, like, in the downtown, region of Immersys, you'll have, 4-story like skyscrapers. And these will have been the same stores, from the very beginning.
Yeah, I love that it's kind of iterative like that, right? Like it's basically, or organic from the jump, so that there's like an economic feedback function for kind of growing the downtown. That's cool as fuck.
This is why we keep him around, because like he's the knowledgeable one. Like what I was gonna say is we totally need like day 1, day 2 videos. Like day 1 is just like an old western like run downtown with like things blowing across the street. Day 30 is like a full blown megalopolis with like spaceships and stuff. Like it's just
I would consider like. Right? I would consider maybe like today, the last day before like the update is like day 1. Like there's
the tumbleweeds, in full effect.
Yeah, and then they'll start building up. Hopefully tomorrow.
It's interesting because like we've had similar conversations around like some of these ideas too, even with the Uplift, and it's kind of I always enjoy having you on here and seeing your take, because again, I said this before, but you guys are coming from a completely different place. Like you guys are I don't know if I'm saying this right, but you guys are kind of building it from the ground up, and we're taking something that's built and we're backwards engineering it to make it better, right? Like to make it fit. So it's I think eventually we're probably going to end up meeting somewhere in the middle. And I see like a lot of commonalities and things too. So, but you said we went live at 9:00 and you were busy typing away because the sale actually went live at 9:00 as well. And so this is an auction sale, and I think I read it's in 2 stages. So the first stage is today, and the second stage is tomorrow. So do you kind of want to explain like how this works? And maybe we can even look at the sale page if you want to share that and go in. And
yeah, it's all being done on Atomic, so I'll just kind of share the here in StreamYard. But so we're doing it in. It's actually going to be 3 batches over 3 days. We're going to do basically some of the Hive, which is our residential building that we're selling. It has a total of 52 units, 4 of those being penthouse. And then you have, 16, and 16 of them being a small, a medium, and a large unit. The residential properties are where we kind of expect people to kind of showcase their NFT collections. This is going to be, an area that is yours. You can set up, the permissions from who's able to access it, who's able to add stuff to it. So let's say if you have a wife or a kid and you both are collecting NFTs together, you'll be able to spawn out furniture around the entire, building. And then also you can put your NFTs on the wall. If they look like an awesome poster, you can put them on the poster. If they look like a 3D little figurine, you can put them on like the desk and stuff like that. So you can kind of scale them, rotate them, resize them all you want, and then place them out into the world. So they can be kind of inspected, and then they get saved there. So anybody that wants to go and visit your location can see it. And that's kind of the same exact functionality that a retail store has, except you have the added ability to add links to certain websites such as like Nifty Blocks or Atomic Hub or Redbubble or wherever you want to sell a product. So it could be digital or it could be a physical product. It doesn't really matter. You can even basically layer your e-commerce website in a way with this retail shop. So basically you would upload your images that you need for maybe like a consulting firm or an art firm or something like that. And then they can come in there, get a whole experience of what your brand's all about or what services you provide and stuff like that. And then directly, purchase them from inside the game.
So when we released Land, we've done it in a few different ways. But generally speaking, map location is a big thing, right? Like if you're on a crossroads or you're near something that might get a lot of traffic for us, because you get rewarded for your activities or for your movements and stuff. And I'm kind of curious because like I'm just looking at the site right now, and you can't really see it actually because it's a little bit. Maybe I can zoom in a bit, but like so there's like 17, 19, 22. I mean that's a pretty big difference. There's an 8,000 bid right here. 8,000 wax bid right here for number 17 and a 5,000 bid for number 19. And then, we, those are.
So some of them don't have bids yet, but yeah.
So I guess my question is like, what, like, is there a location factor? Is there,
yes.
Can you kind of maybe go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So these ones, these properties are going to be on the first main street that's going down into the downtown section. So this will be right off of where everybody spawns. These are basically the first shops you're going to run into when you walk into the downtown area of Immersys. So each number property is basically like its address. So
this is like a 3D. This is like a 3D version of what is it, Corey? What am I thinking of? Upland. This is like a 3D version of Upland, really, right? Like it's quite interesting. Like it's more about location than necessarily resources and things like that. So,
yeah, I think we have to take that route just because obviously we're not a sandbox, so we don't really have the luxury of people being able to build on the plot, right? Like we kind of have to build, but then give that extra like functionality to the plots and stuff like that. It also is kind of nice because it allows us to like develop the story and the lore and like the world, right? Like it's kind of like our own like video game, really. Like that's what we're building, right? So
it's funny that you went. It's funny that you went that way because like I was trying not to hype you up and put them down because like I really like.
No, I like that. Yeah, like the amount of duct tape on like, no, this is a metaverse on Upland is, in my opinion, absurd. Like because to me, it's the placeness of it, right? And probably we're biased in very similar ways, but like that's what metaverse means to me, right? If you just like have a 2D app and you're like, no, I own this pixel on that 2D map, I'm like, good job, right? And there's really interesting ways how they make that contextually interesting. But it's like fucking Atari compared to Ready Player One, right? Like we've got a direction we're headed there. And you guys are I think going to make a really compelling experience. And this, again, the places, so you could actually go in and walk there, right? You can be there. You can have neighbors. You can have different experiences that you end up getting, creating content out in Muggle Land, so people can kind of experience the future that we're trying to build, right?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. No, I think it's interesting when it's. I don't know. The world is cool. I mean, I think it adds, and just the fact that you could see it build up over time. I think Uplift had that awesome advantage where like it started with basically, nothing and then got built up over time. I think something about the progression of the world being built up is super exciting. And I think metaverses that do it best are, going to do the best, to be honest.
Well, that's the thing. Like starting now, and the people that are getting in now, like that, you've got a town, and absolutely you're going to have a downtown in a year, right? Yeah. Like
Yep.
and yeah, seeing that progression in the Uplift. I mean, the first few months we're like, you built what? Like over and over and over again. And now there's so much that we just like, we can't, nope. Like now, like I can almost keep up to the epic, unbelievable fucking gallery installations. Almost.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, like, I was like, you know, we're gonna need to freaking hire Jimmy some help just so we can start doing articles on all of it.
I was just gonna say, if you're keeping up, can you like fill me in? Because
yeah, 100%.
I-
Like just it's incredible. And I think like what you guys are designing, you're sort of pre-designing it so that it can, you know, have that same kind of experience, but you know, in a completely and totally different platform that I think is gonna look really good. Like I think it's gonna be really cool.
I think it's tough to keep up. I think there's so much going on, even in just internally with our team. Like everybody's just working, I feel like nonstop. And it's kind of funny because like, you know, it's tough to find time for anything at this point. I feel like initially, like I was like super active and able to answer everybody. And like, I'm noticing like, you know, as more things pop up, it gets tougher to answer every single DM and stuff. But, you know, I still try to do it. It's just, you know, there's just so much being built, and it's kind of wild to think of. Like, I still go back and look at like the first video that I uploaded on like on YouTube of like what was there, and it was just like a blue area with like nothing there, just like characters running around to what it is now. And it's
characters running around, they don't even have feet.
True, floating around. Technically, they were teleporting around. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I love Nick. We're in a private chat with Nick from Gnome City, and they just go back and forth all day about like your characters don't even have feet. Your characters are too short.
No, I love Nick. We get into some banter on Twitter sometimes. He's a goofy guy. I love him.
So I have a question. When you, because I want to put something for the Uplift in there. I want to put a storefront for the Uplift in there.
Yeah.
Somehow, like I want to have a representation, whether it be like a gallery of images or something like that. I'm not really sure. Maybe even with some of the galleries that are in there, but I think we definitely need to do that. But so my question goes back to the capacities of this.
Yep.
You've got basically this plug and play library of how you can design your shop front. And you can put that all in, like that comes with the package that of the land or the you know, I guess the NFT, right?
Correct. So yeah, so the NFT itself kind of grants you access to this tool on your virtual tablet that allows you to do all the customization. So you can set up, you know, who's allowed to access it. So if you want, you know, somebody with only a certain NFT to be able to access that zone, you could. Or if you only want somebody with a certain wallet to be able to come in, you can do that as well.
So that kind of brought me to the next question, because I think maybe Alenota was maybe heading in that direction. Are there going to be store spaces available for rent in the future? So I'm not 100% sure that he's asking this, but like you said earlier that certain people can access certain areas. Does that mean that certain areas can be sectioned off for rental as well then?
Correct. So obviously there'll be some like self-managed renting to start. We'll move into more of a built-in renting system as well once we have our like back end set up and like our dashboards where you can like upload what content you need to be added to the game and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you would be able to self-manage rent right away. You can kind of set who has access, who can actually customize this property. You would still be able to own the NFT that represents the ownership of the building, right? But then you can also assign the permissions of the building and the building rights essentially to somebody else so that they can build their own store, sell their own products, and everything like that.
We had Michael O'Sullivan from Bywire News on the air earlier this morning, and it was a great conversation. And we got talking a little bit after the show, and he said, "Jimmy, whatever you do, like don't leave the space. You know, like things are going to be really good." And so here's my question for you, because I'm trying to decide what people in the space are good and what people in the space are bad. I think you're a good person, but this question will tell the tale.
Good caveat. Are you a bad person?
Am I a bad person? Yeah.
Like, what are the hidden costs? Are there any hidden costs involved with this? Like, once I have my plot, I can do this. I can put this up. I can customize certain things. I can bring other things like into the space if I want. Like
Sure.
I can put images. Like once I have this land, is it all inclusive? I can do whatever I want with it, or are
Sure.
there other like things that I might have to pay for, resources, things like that? And it's not a negative question, to be honest.
No, no,
A big part of
we're
your
gonna have to
economy.
answer.
A big part of your the reason I talk so long is because like when people ask us these questions, we need thinking time. So
no, I'm good. Yeah, no, I mean, I mean, we already have it kind of in place, right? So the way that you get NFTs into the game is you get added as a collection. You kind of like everything in the game's an NFT, whether you're placing an item out into the world or you know spawning it on the wall or resizing it and placing it. It's just following you around. So really, I mean, what you need added in, you just basically have to become a creator for us. The creator fee to have NFTs added in is $150 to become a creator. You get basically access to 20 templates that you can upload to Immersys. And then those items are what you use to spawn and decorate your shop with, essentially. So whatever those need to be, you basically send them over to us and we upload them into the game. And then that's what you use to decorate it. So everything's basically purchasable on Atomic Hub. So that's pretty much the only, I guess you could consider it, hidden costs that you would have to pay to upload images to it. Outside of that, there's already collections. We already have, I believe, 75 collections inside of Immersys that have NFTs in there. So all of those NFTs are usable inside these locations. So and then they have multiple spots. So you just tell them, you could go to a creator and say, hey, I want this template to be in Immersys. They can come to Immersys, have their template added, and then anybody that owns that NFT can now use that NFT inside the world.
That's a great sugarcoat, because I would have said, if you're willing to spend that much on land, but you're not willing to pay $150 to like put your own like kind of spin on it and make it like your own space by like uploading your own things, then don't complain to us that nobody's coming into your shop.
Yeah, but I mean that's realistically what it would cost beyond the shop. So if you win the auction, you need to get NFTs in there. You have to be a creator essentially to bring your NFTs in.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, that's cool. Corey, do you have anything that you want to? I'm kind of excited about this because I'm learning a lot. But do you have anything that you want to pick his brain about?
No, I'm just fascinated to see how it breaks down, and I'm really excited to when I can actually have some time to go mess around in there, because like that's been something that's been nagging at me for a while. And yeah, I mean, just like everybody's like balls to the wall in the space. At some point, Dan, like it's gonna be where we could just relax, right?
Eventually.
No.
I think that's another thing like about the property is the properties benefit the players playing the game too. In the fact that like if you want furniture in your place, you're gonna have to either play the game to earn the blueprint that creates the furniture that you want to like place out inside the game, or you're gonna have to go and buy it off of a player that's been playing the game as well. So we've kind of created this thing where like if you're playing, you're benefiting. If you're just going in there to kind of be like this like this like own a store and sell products and not really interact with the world outside of that, then the people that actually play the game are building up the world as well. So like the shelving that you're going to put your items on is going to come from a player that's created it in the game.
Yeah, I really dig that. We're starting to just see the ramifications of what the player economy that we have built up now that shops are live in the survival world district, like the economic zone. It's just nuts. Actually, TC actually, sorry man, I'm gonna out you. He's probably not gonna be super mad, but he's like, hey, what if we had a world that was just completely and totally flat, connected to the connected to the economic zone, so that anybody who wanted to build there is gonna have to get materials from all the shops. I'm like, done. Right?
Yeah,
just super fascinating. And even have that as maybe land pieces that get sold for uplifting or something. Like we can say like, this is the thing with our current situation. Once we manage to land the plane, it's not done yet, right? We have to raise a little bit more money to finish the buyback, blah 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 blah. But like we can do all the fucking things, Dan.
I know.
We can just get fucking crazy, which not that we haven't been crazy before. We haven't. Like nobody's seen shit yet. The number of things we wanted to do that we couldn't do for whatever reason. And now it's gonna be like fucking hold my beer.
Japan's a really cute little interesting country. It's the only country I've ever been to where like you're out and you meet someone and you're like, oh yeah, where's your house? And they're like, it's right here. And it's like, oh, you have a field? They're like, yeah. And what else is there? And they're like, oh yeah, we own half that mountain.
Like you do,
right? Like it's but like that's a really fun idea, right? Like to be able to start with shops and things like that. I mean, what else can you do? Right? Like, what else can you plug into that system? I mean, Flatlands, that you could choose your own adventure, basically. I didn't read when I was a kid, but like, I just want to make a choose your own metaverse. Like,
No, I think eventually we want to get to the point where we're offering Flatland, right? And it's more of like a community build up where like everything's built up from the ground.
Right.
It's just much easier to start with like the actual city area, build out our city first, because that's kind of the first area of our Immersys like metaverse, and then move to the outer area where there could be like a settling that
well, it's how you share the vision, right? Like we had a bunch of stuff built up in the server before before we went live, right? Just as kind of examples, right? This is sort of like, when we first started, like bringing people in and showing them the cathedral, which is like not even anywhere near one of the coolest builds in the Uplift anymore, which like is just fascinating to me. I think it makes sense, right? Because then it's not we're all going to be doing this for a long time, and we don't even know what's going to happen, right? So I think like the ability to iterate and get crazy about shit is just it's really
half the time I feel like we're just kind of sitting in our meetings just kind of like, how can we future proof this thing as much as possible, because you just have no idea what can really or where things can go. So I mean, I think a lot of the time just kind of being an immersive 3D website is kind of the approach that we take for anything. We're just like, are we getting too, into the weeds on this like idea? Are we taking over too much of it? Like we have the casino in there, right? Like we don't want to be the casino, but we want to be able to provide like an immersive, area where you maybe just go and play, 2D, Texas Hold'em on like somebody else's app inside the game. So we don't really but we can provide like, maybe cocktails or something like that. Like we could provide the additional, peripheral like items around the entire experience of what you're consuming, through the web. But we don't want to overstep too far. Like we can sell the land, but then we don't want to overstep the gameplay, which is go grind, craft items, and then build up the thing. So we're not going to give you everything. We're going to allow you to play inside the game or experience the game through I don't know, the platform in a way.
Well, that's the thing. You want to be the platform, not the product, right? And that's something that we talk about all the time. Like the creating the initial boundary conditions to become an interesting platform, whether it's in this sort of survival world, kind of video game play to earn space, or in the creative world, kind of more metaverse focused space or whatever. It's all kind of connected to the same thing. We really like that. Yeah, I want businesses growing up in the Uplift, right? I want businesses growing up in the Uplift and Immersys. Right, like and figuring out how to maximize the interplay between all those different platforms, right? And that's like,
I'm sure you already see it too with the survival survival server. You're probably already seeing people like create their own stores dedicated to selling the in-game resources, right? Dude. Like I expect that to happen in here as well.
Exactly. There's tons of it, and I think even like TC and Mello, basically decided they were become a mega store. They went out buying everything, and they created and really like, because I don't know even where all the stores are. Right, we're gonna make maps for that. Eventually, people are gonna be able to figure that out. But I know where a TC and Mello store is, so I can just go there. I can buy everything I need, and I can go back to the tree farm and start doing stuff or whatever. And this was after like 2 months. What does this look like when there's guilds, when there's flat lawn worlds? Jimmy, Dr. Wayne has been thinking about laundom spelt like a grass lawn.
I know, I saw
for
that
a long time.
Really fun.
That's so kitschy, and we're totally doing it. That's what it's going to be called, obviously.
Each plot needs to come with a goat.
Yeah, dude. Like, why are you trying to kill my server? You're fucking killing me, dude. Like the one time we could start fresh, like but let's have 1,000 goats.
No, the minimum one per plot, so you can keep the lawn tidy.
Right. So
how they used to do it back in India.
I see what you're. Okay, I'm sorry. I was a little bit
before all the landowners came in.
Right. So the goats need to keep the lawn
Right.
The
Good,
lawn,
good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do they eat the actual grass, or
They
do
don't. It's
the
totally full of shit. He's making this.
not like the wheat grass, right? Or
Yeah,
okay.
no, they don't do that at all. But it's a
I've
fun
always
story.
said I'm a big like skyblock person. So like, you know how you can't grow grass if you have no grass, essentially. Like
Right.
it's just like to me, that's the one thing I care about whenever I'm playing Minecraft.
Whenever we do our Rolodex gallery NFT line, Dan's got to be on there with that comment.
Yeah.
100%.
Do you know the Rolodex gallery?
Well, I know Royal Decks, yeah, but I haven't been to the gallery before.
Yeah, so it's something that almost looks like a Canadian flag, but not quite.
Yeah. All right, maybe I'm talking about something else totally different. I'm talking about some user in Telegram.
No, there's a.
I thought you maybe had a plot.
No,
Yeah,
he actually, it's probably the same thing. It's
okay.
it's probably the same guy. He built this amazing gallery in the Uplift World, and it's basically various renditions of the same image over and over and over again.
That's cool.
Of a really cool
really well done.
leaf that we like. And so play that comment about viewers back about grass, and it really will be a great NFT.
Man, I know I was agreeing with you before, but I had no clue what you were talking about until right now. I just want to own that. I was down the wrong path, and now I'm
right.
I'm
Yeah,
back up.
you were hanging out with the goat children still.
Apparently. What? All right,
good.
so Immersys.
Yeah.
We've gone down the goat path far enough. So the land sale today, what do you see happening over like the next 90 days? Game plan, how you see the everything evolving.
So I mean, we kind of hyped people up, right? So we knew that the property sales were, I think people will most likely get, a little bit more committed to the project because they own property, right? So immediately in the next 90 days, the main focus once the properties are out there is bringing fate into the game to be earned. Right now, you can't earn fate. Fate's only earned, well, you can, but through providing liquidity. That's the only way that fate's coming into the game, and that's our in-game token. So we just released an announcement maybe like a week ago or so that now every single craft inside the game is going to require our token. And then we also are going to be releasing the contract where any NFT that you're getting inside the game, you'll have to burn for the token. So there'll be a daily pool of token that's allotted every single day to the game. Burning our NFTs, basically the deflationary mechanic that comes with earning the NFTs in the game, will earn you the fate token. And then the fate token, so we kind of want to give every NFT like two choices. Like either you build into an item that builds up the game, or has some type of utility or function in the game, or is a weapon or equipment, or you burn that NFT resource to get our in-game token. Then that unlocks other things inside the world. So getting our token involved is probably the next thing that players will see, and they'll probably see it like within a week, and then. After that, where you're focusing on completing the game loop. So right now we have the gathering and the crafting. Next thing we want to do is introduce the player versus environment aspect. So this is, you go kill a monster. This is, you go with your team into a dungeon and kill stuff. This is, you get loot, all that stuff. So we kind of complete that like circle of a typical MMORPG style of a game. And then we really kind of hope that that's what, like once the loop is complete, that's where we think the full player economy, where like it's like an MMO style, like tons and tons of items being traded at insane amounts of volume is really where it comes into play. And it's thankfully because of Wax that you can do that, right? Like we're treating our non-fungible tokens almost like they're fungible tokens at this point, because they're
but also like yeah, that's the interplay between all those things is, I mean, that and we talked about this before, like one of the things that we're going to be focused on in the near term is the shops are going really well, like the Survival World's going really well, but what happens when you can withdraw 1,000 glasses in NFT and buy and sell it in the open market, and like who knows, maybe Kate turns around and goes yeah, we could do like Uplift would, as a token or whatever, right? Yeah. And again, having nothing to do with us, and suddenly the ecosystem just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and more complex. And then and this is where the collab thing starts to get really, really interesting.
This is where it gets super interesting,
right?
too.
Because it's at the end of the day, it's all the tribes that we're building, the communities that we're building, and the attention, right?
Yep.
Like the attention of everybody in the ecosystem is ultimately the only currency that there actually is, right?
Mhm.
Human beings' attention over time. And having the ability to cross pollinate all this stuff and make it more interesting and more dynamic and more complex, frankly, it's just like like this is where I could never go do anything else. Like it's all just gonna seem so dumb compared to what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that I like the most right now is because we have NFTs that are the resources, people are creating entire collections that just use our resources as like the blend into their collection, right? So now what are they doing? They're gaining value for anything that they own, or if they're playing in our game, the resources that they're collecting and gathering go up because they have another use case. And then they're also like creating an entire collection that they could sell and then use inside the metaverse at the same exact time. So it kind of gets interesting once, and then that same mechanic can be used across any game, any
will be exactly
absolutely.
Right. Like this is inevitable. Like everybody's NFTs getting used for whatever anybody else wants them to get used for. As a function of creating value to get attention. I mean, that's like the lesson that our planet taught me, and I will forever be grateful for it. Like if you turn around and you give other people's projects value, suddenly everybody's your fan.
Yeah.
Right. And that, like small ways, big ways, medium-sized ways, doesn't matter. Like that's going to be a huge part of the story of the next couple of years.
True. That what was it? Our land that kind of was, dude. I feel like that was like the first time I saw it, at least. Like it was just
Bad Gifter. I talked to Bad Gifter a fair amount now because he rebuilt Blue Deck.
Yeah.
Thanks. He's actually going to be porting that over to our main site because our front end guy left, and like our main website's been like basically unusable. And Bad Gifter's like, hold my beer, and like in an afternoon just makes a site that's better than what we built. Like you fucking fuck.
I used it. It was super easy to use.
I only use it, right? Like unless I'm making a pool like that, it's infinitely more usable than what we built.
I think I missed one whole season of Blue Deck because I didn't want to press the button that many times.
Well, right. It just makes sense. But I mean, like what Bad Gifter is doing, and like on its own, we've had him on the show a couple times, and it's a pretty intense standalone project now.
Yeah.
And probably was always going to be. I just didn't really know, right? It was like, it's this thing that was getting tacked on to our planet or whatever, but it's so much bigger than that.
Yeah. Hey, Chapadan Tech, we don't activate links for a reason because we get too much spam. But like, if you want to explain what you need a link for, then
if you guys want,
you can DM it to us and then we can put it on if it's valid. Sorry, or you can DM it to Dan because I think you're part of the Immersys community. So, and if we think it's valid, we'll put it on there. But like we just don't want this to be spammed, and there's enough. How do I say this nicely? There's enough fake gurus from the crypto space that pop up on my YouTube every single day to steal people's money out there in the world already. Because definitely Vitalik Buterin is going to give, Chuck Norris a bunch of Ethereum to give you for free.
Yeah,
I mean that's
what I heard. I saw that on the internet.
New marketing thing, yeah.
No, I like it. Like this is like okay. I'm a little bit bizarre. Before I met mBlue really, and got into the crypto space. Before that, but like before I met mBlue, I was going in a completely different direction, and I was going to be a permaculturalist. So I was going to, be decentralized. I was going to do this cool thing where, I could live in a place and I could grow my own food and we could have a local economy, like a real local economy, like one that isn't like propped up by like weird governments and stuff like that. Right. And like listening to what you guys are talking about, like, a metaversal economy in a sense, like, I mean, that almost sounds like a free market, really. It's one that's not like artificially propped up, one that the people decide. Right. Again, I'm a little bit biased on this too because I don't want to go negative, but there's too many people that just want free money in crypto, right? But once we use these platforms to be able to teach people how to actually make money. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a university professor and I'm a teacher, like a certified teacher, and I basically want to quit teaching because like what they could learn playing in these metaverses is way more than what any national education system is teaching.
I blame me not going all the way through college because I played video games, to be honest, right? Like I was playing an MMO. Like I learned at like the age of 12, like there's bad people that are going to scam you. Like there's like, like you don't need to go to college. You just need to work hard to get your money to go up, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's just all these like,
by the age of 14, Dan was scamming the 12-year-olds.
Yeah, just mine something, just play the game. And I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things is I just felt like in the game, you could kind of make your own path, right? Like it was basically like you could keep going, like choose your own metaverse in a way, right? That's going to be what's coming. It was kind of choose your own adventure back then because it was a game and everything was locked inside that story. But you know, once everything becomes more connected, like it's make your own metaverse in a way and or choose your own metaverse. And I see that being so much more like I can already see like kids getting involved in this because it's something they understand too, right? They're playing video games already. Like this computer stuff is super familiar to them. Like they're going to navigate it better than anybody. And when they see this opportunity, I think they're going to kill it.
3 meetings this week with 3 different projects that I'll want kid-focused servers, and every single one of them wants to be about teaching economics. It's so, and really like we've got all the pieces for it, right? And now, you know, and obviously we want to do it in like a super safe way for kids. We do private servers, whatever. But like that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? Like that is going to become a genre. Because now, you know, it's real, it's not real, but it's fine, and you just go have fun, right? Like that same education that you got in games is what, you know. Can you imagine being freaking 13 right now? Like, fuck off. I know. It doesn't even make any sense. You're gonna be retired by the time you're 18, and you're gonna own half the fucking metaverse, and you know, we're all gonna like, it's crazy.
It is going to be quite crazy to see them grow up with the metaverse. It'll be very interesting to see it. Yeah, just because I get to kind of see what's getting built, right? And I just see the value that's being built all around, like just anything blockchain and metaverse related. I'm just like, you know, the people that are kind of going into these like super early on, because everything's super early right now, right? Yeah. Are these like younger people like that are kind of like just dabbling in crypto maybe for the first time, and like I feel like they're going to navigate it so well. I think they already know a lot, right? Like the NFTs and fungible tokens. I mean, this is some high level like finance stuff that, you know, probably the people making the projects can barely even understand at this point. And they're having to make these decisions like, you know, with you know, real world value, you know, associated with it like daily now. Like my gold in an MMO before meant nothing really, right? It was locked into that environment. But now, you know, there's some, you can easily, you know, change it to USD if you want.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah. I mean, don't tell anyone this either because I'm horrible at it. But like I was like a humanities and economics teacher. And I'm actually a pretty good economics teacher, believe it or not, but like the school didn't like me because I would tell the truth. But now you guys are killing me. Now we need to teach 13-year-olds about tax by taxing them in the metaverse. And so we're like, really, like
you can imagine like the new version of that though, like the tax that goes into a DAO as an example, right?
Yeah,
like that tax will end up going into a treasury, and people will be able to get their hands on DAO tokens and vote in a meaningful way on the direction that capital is going to go, right? And like. We the whole first hour this morning, we had Michael from Bywire on. I highly recommend. That shit got a little heady for 7 a.m. But you know, but like it's we're sort of building what can come next if we all play our cards right, and we're sort of experimenting with new governance and economic models that are going to be much more efficient and much more fun and much more fair than, you know, the stuff that we're, you know, kind of leaving behind, you know, as we build this stuff out.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll be cool because I mean, also with the just the metaverse aspect of it too, like I think in Immersys, because we play that like layer on top of everything that's being developed, really, we get to kind of see what's working. Like if you're in our world, you're going to probably get to see what's actually working versus what's not working, because the stuff that's not working, that building is going to be dead. But the stuff that is working, you're going to be able to discover that content pretty quickly because they're going to have the 4-story building. They're going to have all the billboards advertising, what kind of new DeFi project or what kind of governance token, anything that they need to advertise to get the word out to honestly who we believe their audience is too in the first place,
right.
is available to them. And I think that's going to be the cool part is you'll be able to. I think that's the other part I like about Metaverses is you're able to visually see the people interacting with stuff, right? Like especially in crypto's so like anonymous, and it like all I need is just an avatar in there. You can still remain anonymous, but just being able to see like or have that presence of somebody else participating in something kind of helps my experience. Like I like to know that the shop that I'm shopping at, like even like those off brands on like an e-commerce website. I don't know if that's like if I'm going to get high quality clothing from that, but like if I'm walking down a mall and I see a bunch of people in the Apple store, I know that there's more.
Well, right, like in a very real sense, like somebody does a store opening in Immersys, right? Like I need to get my avatar, and like Bad Gifter might get his avatar, Jimmy will have his or whatever, and like we all act just we're there for that event, right? Like that, and that's honestly what focuses people's attention and FOMO and scarcity in the real world, right? Like everybody lining up to buy shoes or to buy an iPhone or whatever, and even being a non, like they having that it's still going to work in the metaverse, to your point.
Yep. And I think that's a big thing is like I don't know, there's I feel like there's that added level of trust in the metaverse when you could see the person is like there. I don't know, I went to the DigiCon thing, and like you don't really know all the projects going on there until you like start talking to like the representative. You don't know what they look like, you don't know anything about them, you just have this little thing, but like now you know a little bit more, like you just I don't know. It's cool to see people present in the space. It makes it feel a little bit more real. Sometimes you just don't know if it's just boss on the other end or if there's somebody else.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, I think that's right. It's sort of like we've got these personalities and like they're connected to personalities and ultimately connected to the blockchain. So like that, there's that level of continuity that's really interesting. It's like that Minecraft my skin, like the NASA t-shirt and the board shorts or whatever, like Greg just made that for me one day and I just never changed it, but now like it's in animations, like it's somebody made a giant fucking statue of me. That was weird, by the way. And it's weird to like, it's like somebody I think Class bought it, or somebody bought it and put it up right next to the Uplifters tower. So like so I fly over there, like this is not good for my humility. But like that, like I have never identified with an avatar before. Yeah. And now, like, I don't think I can change that, right? Like, that's kind of my name now, right? Like that, like when I come into Immersys, I'm gonna figure out how to look like that, right? Yeah. Like, and sort of create that continuity for myself. And I could drop my name; it's not gonna matter. Everybody's gonna know who it is.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I never got the whole profile picture trend, right? Until I got my first one, and then I made it my profile picture, and now I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to change this photo. This is me now.
Yeah, it's
the same way with the avatar. I see it being the same exact way. Like this is me now.
Yeah, I've been super critical of PFPs because there's too many of them. But yeah, I didn't get it either. I really didn't.
Well, I feel like Wax just didn't have a bunch of them. Is the thing. Like we were kind of distanced to it. Like I feel like it just like went super quick into like collectibles, then play to earn. So we like missed the whole PFP like thing.
Yep. But, Hustle House, he tried to get me in on Bored Apes when they were like 14,000. I was like, dude, I'm not buying a fucking JPEG for $14,000. You're out of your mind. And like now it's like a $500,000 floor price or some stupid fucking thing. Like,
I mean, think about the network you get, right?
That's the thing. And I think no matter what we do, the network is always the thing. And if we can translate it to, okay, what does this mean for, our, again, like human beings' attention tribe over time? They crushed the shit out of that. And I think, when people are thinking about being downtown in Immersys, it's going to be the same thing, right? Like that access to the kind of network that's going to be built in your guys' downtown is going to be the juice. It's going to be the Bored Ape juice that gets people coming in, and the exclusivity and the network. I'm stoked that you guys are building in this space with us. It's cool.
Yeah, no, I love this space. I think it's super cool. I think the cool thing is that as far as like the community and the networking thing, like I think that's why we like the building approach for this sale, right? Like we built the Hive, which is like definitely like the wax based building. So like people that own property in that building, like they're going to want to see like that building have events. They're going to want to build that building up and stuff like that. So like it creates this network of people. Like you're going to know like that guy lives down at the Hive and in Immersys, and here are their neighbors, and this is like their plot. So then you get that whole community sense and that whole network. Maybe you learn learn about a project because you have a conversation in the courtyard, right? Like hey, buy the Bored Ape Yacht Club, basically, right? Like just like something like you don't even really know what the conversation is going to be, but because you had that plot or that network involved with it, like you might just hear that little bit of information that kind of changes, everything for you.
Yep, inevitably.
I think it's just different cultures have different things, but like here in Japan, people don't say hello in the elevator. They don't say hello at the bus stop. They're kind of glued to their phones. But like hearing you say that, it's like they're probably like glued to their phones, walking around some video game, saying hello to people on the other side of the world, right? And I'm not trying to be negative about it, because the one
I think it gets there. I agree with you,
right? And the one nice thing about it is, what's that old quote? You can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
I think we might be on the verge of another step, right? Like not everyone has the potential possibility to choose their neighborhood, but they can choose their metaversal neighborhood, right? And that's like, I think you notice this with a lot of these projects as people are engaging, they're communicating, they're sharing information. The people who I see in the metaverse that are the most active are probably people who are a little bit out of place, where they are in the world, because, they're not surrounded by other artists, for example, right? Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying where they live is bad, right? I'm sure they have their family and their friends, but that's kind of what I like about it, right? They're not surrounded by people who think the same way as economics, as them, or who think the same way about crypto or gaming, or all of these interests, right? And so I think that's kind of where the potential is, and I really like it. So I think there was this question too that we can.
Yeah. So when we do this avatar update, that's when you're going to see both PvP. It's a complete revamp of our current combat system. Right now, our combat system is both people have to target each other, and then you kind of just mash some buttons. It's kind of primitive and kind of, really old school, right? But the upgrade is going to be basically sort of more of like a Skyrim. You unsheath your sword or something like that, or you equip the bow, and then you'll be able to kind of attack. Or in some places it'll be more of a first person shooter, so you'll equip the gun and be able to do like a team deathmatch sort of type thing. But that all comes with the avatar upgrade. So and that's going to be what we focus on as soon as these properties are done. Obviously some of the funds are going towards getting the people that are going to be able to create those those models, upgrade our avatars, and basically, make wearables for these characters. So that's kind of the next transition. We want to build out that portion of the metaverse.
That PvP thing, like we just did the Coliseum thing where we're kind of, futzing around with that idea. That's just sexy as fuck. And like the whole idea that like any tiny percentage that you guys get closer and closer to Skyrim, which I know you'll do, like especially over time, right? Like just take all my money. It's so good.
It's so wild where we're going. Because like we have like it's so funny because we obviously reference most of the stuff that we're building off of previous games that we liked, right? So we're choosing from like our favorites, and then we're kind of, it's funny that it's all kind of coming together. Like even the apartments, like you'll notice like it feels sort of like Animal Crossing, which has sold millions of copies of a game, right? Like, but it's so funny that we were able to kind of develop this at least functioning scenario of it where you could place out your furniture and make custom stuff, and like make a shop with just like your fish or your and that with the table that you own or something like that. Like that layout of customizing your own home is very Animal Crossing, like the grinding, chopping down trees and stuff like that. That's like your typical MMORPG style of a game. Like then you have like the casino district, and then you have like, I mean, the retail places are sort of like Sim City, right? The city's being built up because things are getting placed down and around the entire location. And then once we get to the combat stuff and and you're able to go into a big battle with everybody, and it's from gear that you've either mined and crafted yourself, or you looted from the last chest or something like that. It's going to get crazy. I think that's the part that a lot of people are most excited about. I think like the PvP PvE aspect of games is what kind of drives a lot of like the gameplay side of things.
Real life is filled with so much rage that we have to take it out in the metaverse.
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't know what it is. It's just a different type of content, but yeah.
I like one of the few games that I actually did play was SimCity, and it's like those earthquakes. I can still hear the modem sound in my head.
Yeah.
That was really bad, but yeah, it was good. Like Fable, things like that. Like some of these kind of quest games were really good. So it's kind of exciting to see. And I think you guys are going to do great. So I just put the link in the chat one more time. There's I didn't ask one question that I wanted to ask. So what's the difference between the sale that's happening on the 2nd and the sale that's happening later on Friday this week?
It's just the same properties. It's just we spread it over 3 days just to kind of hit different time zones.
Okay, so
for the options, yeah.
Okay, so it's like it has nothing to do with like location. It has nothing to do with like residential versus commercial. It's just a mix over a longer period of time, then basically.
Yeah, pretty much. It is. I mean, obviously, each one does have its own location. So we do have a map that we just kind of shared on our Discord, so you can see what number on the avenue you're buying, so you can get an idea of location. But yeah, I mean, you're buying into that location on the road, basically, is what it is. But we spread it out through a couple different time zones.
And the last one to click the button gets it. That's it. Like the timer runs out. Like if you happen to be the last one, or is there some
so atomic auctions have a built-in anti-snipe mechanism. So if you put a bid within, I think it's like 5 minutes, it adds more time to it.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
I don't. If you guys out there in the comments have any questions, but yeah, definitely, I'm excited to have you back.
Yeah, we're gonna get that conversation going again. I think
for sure. Yeah, and I'm excited to have you back once, maybe in a couple weeks after all these NFTs have gone out and people have put up their shops and their storefronts. I want to see it. Right.
I'm gonna go in there and take a little photo. Today, I think just the last moment before everybody gets a hold of their property, just so I have that last memory of it before it gets built up. But yeah, it'll be cool to see.
The nostalgia of Dan.
Yeah.
I like it. Cool.
All right, guys. I got a jet. I got another meeting in 4 minutes. But yeah, Dan, just come back all the time. And so I want updates and pictures and video, and we need to do this where we get in game anyway, like that.
We can host one where you play it one day maybe, and then kind of show it off. Yeah,
not maybe. Let's fucking do it, because that'll force me to actually just carve the time out to do it, and I so want to do that. So yeah, we'll just make it happen. I freaking love that we get to work with you guys in this space. I think it's gonna be really cool, and the collabs are going to melt fucking faces.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited for the future between all the metaverses and everybody. Right? I'm just hyped. I'm hyped.
Me too. It's gonna be awesome. All right, you guys can hang out. I gotta run. Ciao.
Cool.
Later. So any last thoughts, then, before we let the people go?
I think, obviously this is your opportunity to start getting some property, getting invested in the Immersys project. This is where we're going to be dedicating our effort. I think obviously the in-game benefit of having a house, like we can add bonuses like well fed or like well rested, and you can add like community upgrades where you unlock maybe that's the way that you start unlocking some type of like a little like passive, not passive because we don't like anything passive, but an active daily routine that you kind of get to do, just so it feels like you have to be in your house. Like you water the plant, and then when the plant grows, you earn something, right? Like those little tiny like things that only people with houses can do. That's what we're going to be building upon with those like with the platform, because we can gamify it, right? And I think
I'm just laughing. Like there's some things that we can't do with Minecraft that I really want to do. Right?
Yeah.
Like I want to. I want people. This sounds really bad, but I want people's fish and dogs and cats to die if they don't go in and actively feed them. Right?
Yeah.
This is like, right? Like,
No, but seriously, yeah.
I don't think that's a possibility ever. Yeah, in Minecraft, you would tell her. One more question before we go from Blue Glue Smurf Blood. Sorry if this is talked about, but once the auction is over for retail, when will we get access to start making changes to the location in game?
Immediately. So as soon as this first auction ends, we're going to release at the same time the update so that you have access to the game. You'll have access to the property. It'll know that you're the owner of that property, and you can immediately start messing around with the location.
It's going to be next to Jimmy D, so there's a premium on that. Like
how
like
much for a box? Yeah, I'm crowdsourcing the small apartment right now. So
right.
Yeah.
All right, so cool. Yeah, so about 1 day and maybe a little bit less than an hour. I think the last time we checked.
Yep.
For the first, zoning of this auction, really. But yeah, definitely keep us updated and feel free to shout us out when the last auction goes live over in our little metaverse and hit me up and we'll post it in our Discord or something for people
Absolutely.
on the Rider channel. So thank you all for joining us. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Jim.
It's always a pleasure to have you here on the show.
I love these chats. Yeah. No, thanks so much. And thanks everybody who watched.